Chinese proverb, and that is that if you want to basically empower somebody, so you want to have a fish, right? So you give somebody a fish, he will eat for a day, right? But if you teach him how to fish, he will eat for life. This is the essence of developing, right? So this is what we are trying to do here in undergraduate education, especially as the fundamental thing of others is basically give them empowerment, coach them, motivate them, so they become better than what they are, and they can replace you. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to leave a legacy behind, right? Now, anybody knows what's the definition of a leader? What is leadership? Okay, so leadership is basically a process, right, in which you influence others. So this means you have followers to achieve a vision or a common goal. So this means you have to influence others. So you have to be having that capacity so that you can influence others, right? So we can influence, there are many ways we can influence others. One is that you have the power and authority. As in the principle, I have the power and authority for certain things. The other is morality. I mean, morally, you follow somebody. Maybe spiritually, you follow somebody. And because of relationship, you follow somebody. So, you lead either by heart or by mind. The essence of leadership is that you should lead by heart. Because positions are temporary. मैं आज प्रिंसिपल को कर ली इसके बाद ट्रेनिंग के बाद काम करने को तैयारी इसको प्राप्त करने की otherwise that's the essence. Okay. Now, why do you want leadership? The other definition of leadership is outside competence. One of the reasons why leadership has come is that when there is a national definition started, output of those organizations were influenced, and people studied that if you have the top men rights, the top leadership right, the performance of those institutions or industries were much better. So that brought up the concept of leadership, and that is now basically a science at the moment. My concept of developing others is based on important roles of leader. The number one role is leader has a role as a gardener. Mali karugi. Omar was here, and we just discussed outside when I saw the garden. So when you basically sow a seed, and that seed becomes a sapling, and then small tree, and then big tree, and then that is able to give you fruits. It doesn't happen in seconds, right? It is wild. What happens while this sapling is over there, or this is small plant, or we animal, sheep, anything, just grab it and eat it, it will be destroyed, right? What happens if you don't water it? What happens if you don't give fertilizer? What happens if you basically leave it? So media basically, when they develop others, they play a role of a gardener. They not only nurture, but they protect, they support, they sponsor, right? That's good. The other role of a leader is when he's trying to develop others is a father. Okay. So can I have that first? Yeah, okay. So this analogy is very important for you, which I just mentioned about the tree. You have to say light it after. Because I like this analogy of developing others, right? This simple diagram will explain how we develop others. So development is not something which can happen in seconds or hours. It takes years. Right? And for that reason, you have to play the role of a gardener and the father. Okay? Now my question to you is, just anyone, is there anybody who has played a role in your development? Any volunteer? This is volunteer organization, so any volunteer who can contribute first. Anybody who has played a role in your development? Correct. Can you please stand up? Just tell us how did you plan? developed.
I'd like to say that my father played a major role in my development in the ways that he told me how important it is to choose kindness when you can, told me how important it is to uplift others in any way, any form, wherever you can. So from the very beginning, he kept on saying, "बेटा अपने से नीचे की तरफ देखना है, उन्हें अपने ऊपर लेके आना है." So that was inculcated in me over time. I don't know if it's I'm there yet or I will be there yet, but I really I will.
Right. Okay. Thank you, member. Did anybody else say that? Let's see.
Thank you very much, sir. There are many people in my life which I really admire that they play a major role in my personality development. One of them was Professor Khalid Danish. He was in Lavadini. So a lot of soft skill I learned from him. And then it's I must say it's you, sir. I think the best you are the person who make me better and better every day by giving me the task, which sometimes make me panic, and I thought that I cannot do that. But by doing that, and I think you took the best out of me. So I think you as a teacher played a major role, and then there are many other. I must name them all. Professor Pasha Saab in Bhutan. He taught me surgery, basics of surgery very well, and in medical education there are many.
All right, thank you very much. So that made my job. Anybody else want to contribute? Angie, please share.
My name is Samit Shafi. I'm the board of trustees in IPAC. I would rather say that the goal of product development, I would rather divide into three different phases. The first one would be like at childhood, basically your parents, then your school, then your professional college, and then for organization. So you meet, as you very rightly said, in your life, you at least there are 4 or 5 different people who have really developed you and made best out of you. So I would rather divide in that different phases.
Excellent. So in life you need many mentors, many role models. But for me, there are 2 phases of life. One in which you are trying to develop yourself with the help of your mentors, and your parents play a major role in it, or your teachers play a tremendous role in it. And the second is when you are in a position, right? Then Allah has enabled you basically to develop others. So there are 2 phases. Now I'm in a position where whatever I wanted to achieve as a professional, I am almost there, right? Still not to my desired path. Now, what is my basic job as a professor is to develop my professors, my students, my postdocs. This is a fundamental thing. So there are 2 phases in life. One phase you are studying for yourself, and the other phase you are developing. And that's very important. If you do not do that, then you will not lead. So Tosi mentioned about how by delegation, by empowerment, by coaching, by motivating. So these are the things which we see. I tell you my own story. I'm very lucky, right? Because I was born in a family where I see my mother and father working very, very hard, right? We were 8 brothers and sisters, and my mother used to cook for everyone, and my father was very hardworking. He spent all his life in the Hajar camp, right? He was a Kashmiri refugee. And when I see stories that how basically studied in a primary school, then he got into a middle school, then how he got into a matric, then he got, and the boy was basically in a Hajar camp, right? And did his CSS in 66. So this was a huge motivation for me. All the time, even one day, my school teacher, my principal, I probably didn't do a homework or what, because there was a boxing match in Muhammad Ali and somebody, and it was basically right at the early morning, and I was just busy there watching, and I forgot mine. So she made his hand up to me, and he said, "You know who's your father?" And I was very much surprised. He used to study in the street lights, because at that time his village did not have that light at before. But I myself visited my Nano's place where I've seen the Laltan, right? and everybody at Maghrib used to take the dinner and used to, and my khalas and everyone was used to tell me the story, Dhoni stories about jinn and some other things, right? So I really enjoyed those stories. I still remember. So your inspiration is from your parents, number one. But I was lucky when I came to medical college. The first day, I want to mention that person because the first day, Professor Khan Mirza was not. He had an interaction one-to-one, and he was trying to explain the joint. And I still remember his first lecture. What he did, he took a duster from here, and there was a piece of cloth over there. And I think Arif is listening and he understands who Khan Mirza is. Arif must be knowing. So he just explained with two dusters. He basically rolled that kapra over it and asked, this is the function of the synovial membrane. And I still remember this analogy, that how beautiful it is. So we were friends. The third year, I had my assistant professor, who later became the principal, Professor Dash. These two people influenced my life so much because as a third year student, I used to basically jog with Professor Dash. And he used to teach me, he used to ask me questions, motivate and stuff like that. I used to play cricket, so that was his also passion. But believe you me, I was so lucky. I went to States, I worked with one of the leading guides, Lee Swanson. People love G. Hey, right? So Allah Ta'ala is like sometimes you are very lucky to born and have such. But your own role is also very, very important. If you do not show willingness to work, hard work, enthusiasm, nobody is going to listen to you, right? So this is what you mentioned, that to have a high performance, you need 3 C's: competence, that's very important, climate and commitment, and we'll talk about this. But important thing is that you want to leave a legacy, that's why you want to develop others. Remember this triangle. Development cannot happen until this triangle is. So you have to have a willing follower, number one, whom you want to develop. You have to have a supportive leader. And lastly, you have to have a developmental process. This is a fundamental triangle which should be there. You can't say, okay, develop Ojo or go develop Ojo. You have to have a process of that. And you also need to find a person who's willing. I'm glad to see this working with me last 4 years. You see the very good willing work. All the time she is asking for what can I do better. And I think you start giving up some difficult assignments just to increase the responsibility, and delegation helps a lot. So this is a fundamental thing, right? But again, I come back the 2 roles which I mentioned: the role of a gardener and the role of a farmer. Okay. So gardener का एक और नाम भी है. तो जो extra roots है या extra growth. So if you get a harsh feedback from your gardener, that doesn't mean that he is after you or he is against you. That means he wants to grow properly. Right? And that's important. So getting a feedback from your teachers in which they are telling you not to do something, it's not against you. It's for your own development. Right? This you have to understand. And the second thing is father. Again, if I have a role model in my life, he is my father. Today, I deliberately asked him to come here. This is the first time in 6 months. He came here. Why I asked him to go up? Because he was in the road. The reason I basically wanted to tell you that because of your training, because of your support, I was able to reach this office, right? So this was a tribute to his basically. There are 4 strategies which you need to remember if you want to develop others. Without creating a learning or a nurturing environment, you cannot. We are not superhumans. We do not develop perfections from the day one. You have to have an environment where people learn, where you excite their learning. Right? This is an environment, right? So you have to accept the failures of others. You have to accept those bogies, right? And that's the reason I like this concept of psychological safety. if you are interested in this subject, psychological safety, there's a great speaker, Annie Edmondson, right? She's a professor of business at Harvard, and she's written a book, Teaming as well as Fearless Organization. And what is that concept? Psychological safety is provision of environment where your followers can ask you questions. You do not have a barrier amongst them. They can ask you questions. They can generate ideas. That ideas may look stupid to you, right? But they have the ability to generate out of the box ideas, right? Secondly, if they commit mistakes, जैसे डॉक्टर एक बार मैंने कंप्यूटर बांध दिया और काट दिया, तो मैंने उसके साथ खड़े होकर उसको सिखाया एग्जैक्टली कैसे करनी है. You have to provide the support. It's okay. It's human to fall. It's to err is human. It is in our nature. But we have to have certain mechanism to prevent that, and it should dominate control environment. So providing a psychological safety and making sure that the environment is better. If you have a toxic environment, you can't be able to work with this. You just right? And psychological. The third thing is identify हर बंदे को अलग अलग strengths with you, and you can use their strengths for their work. But identify what are their developmental needs. So they have some strengths and there are some developmental. I would not call them weaknesses. I will say that developmental needs. So as a good leader, you have to identify those developmental needs and try to see how can I help those. Can I help by coaching myself, or is there any other help available? Maybe he'll go to some other doctor, to some other place where he can develop that. That's very important. And lastly, assignment. Because in the it is the mushkil assignment there. She's not to see which I met 4 years back. A traveling lady was very confused, didn't want to work, and I helped. He said, "Lady, why have you come? You have never worked in a public hospital. Why you have come?" And she was like almost into tears that she wanted to go back or something like that. But anyway, I'm so glad that she has made a tremendous progress. So these are the few tools which you can use to develop others. The fundamental tool is coaching and motivation. I'll talk more about that. But just remember, coaching is very, very important. So you cannot be coached for everything. Right? I can be a surgeon and I can teach somebody surgery, or maybe a little bit of medical education. But I don't know anything. Right? So whatever I know, I can coach, but I don't know, I should. Then feedback and reflection. It's part of coaching. Reflection is your feedback there are because I think these are two key words. Let's talk about motivation because that's a fundamental thing, and then empowerment and delegation. Right? These are the tools which we will use to develop others. So motivation is a huge subject. If you understand the educational psychology, this is one subject people have been struggling to find, right? Because really, as a teacher, such a check, all my students are sitting here, all motivated to. That's what. How can I motivate them, right? How can I motivate them? So if you take that reward or recognition to motivate people, yes, it does, but for a very short period of time. Internal drive, internal satisfaction, a sense of achievement, a sense of belonging, these are the ones which are better predictors of intrinsic motivation, and that is what they have. So these are the 6, 7 motivators which you all should know and try to develop. The last concept which I want to basically share was this: we need to find jobs that fit the person. Right? Is that correct? Or we need to find a person that fits the job? Which one is good? So this is called job design. Okay. So designing a job, as a leader, you should know that if I assign this job to my follower or anybody who I'm trying to develop, does this job fit that person? Or that is important. This is the job of the leader. Identify a job that fits that person, not trying to fit the person into the job, right? And that's the fundamental thing which demotivates. Your job design is the one which demotivates. ठीक है, ये आप याद रखिए। The end of the talk. Before I close, any questions related to that? So I modified this talk because I knew that we have multiple students here, so we don't need long, sophisticated questions, theories, and gardener and father is my own field, and I take pride in it because it's just a genuine idea. Any questions with that? So.
So my question is that when you're trying to motivate others, and in the process you'll come across many people who will maybe label things that you wanted too much attention or something like that. How to deal with that?
Yeah, so the question is that if you are
Your original intent is just to help out other people, just not to help, but to make them better versions of themselves. But if others see you as like, yeah, ये तो हर जगह ही आ गया, yeah, you understand the point?
all right, so this is probably not related to developing other, this is probably a conflict question. Right, yeah, so that might be a conflict, and then we have developed a conflict with somebody. So there are different ways of conflict resolution. One of the best way is negotiation. And in negotiation, there are 3 strategies: win, loss, win. I always follow the win-win situation. ठीक है, चीजों को अगर एक रोटी है तो उसको 2 में बांट ले, चाहे इसको एक सारी को एक को दे दे और दूसरी. So always find this psychologically भी और management science भी ये कहती है कि always try to find the win-win. And second is do not negotiate position. Try to find position instead of position the interest of others. If you see what is his interest and what is her interest, and they are both negotiating, you go for the interest, and you find his interest is different and his interest, her interest is different, that will help in the negotiation. So try to find the win-win.